everyone, and welcome to the all-new That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes a show business each weekday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on thatbusinessnetwork.com and made available on demand on iTunes as well as on YouTube. So today we're going to be talking about referrals. We talk about that a lot on the program, how referrals drive so much of your business. But we've got a unique guest today, Stacy Brown Randall, who's going to talk about how to get referrals without asking for referrals. And so she's got a unique strategy that she is going to share with us. And you can learn more about this at that website, growthbyreferrals.com. So Stacy, welcome to the program this morning.
Thank you, Jamie, for having me. I appreciate it.
So first off, tell us a little about your background. I understand that you experienced a business failure, learned from that, went on to develop this program and other programs. But first, tell me about your background in business.
Sure. So I'd actually say the business failure is actually what created the strategy that I use now to generate referrals. So while a business failure is extremely painful, it was actually the best thing that could have happened to me because it helped me get to where I am today. So my first business was an HR consulting firm. And if you were on the outside looking in, you would have assumed that business was rocking because I had clients like KPMG, one of the big four accounting firms, BDO, another large accounting firm, Snyder's Lance, the snack food company, Coca-Cola Bottling Consolidated. I mean, I had some big name clients. I was, published in a number of well-known publications. I was interviewed on Bloomberg News. You would have assumed from the outside looking in that business was rocking. The problem was, though, is that I hadn't quite figured out how to touch business development every day in a way that would work with me or work for me so that I wouldn't get stuck on that solopreneur, entrepreneur roller coaster of I've got money in the bank because I've got work to do, but I put my head down and I don't pay attention to new work coming in when the current work is done. And so, after a number of years, that business, it finally just sputtered to a point where I had to put it to bed and I had to go get a job.
And what was the problem? You just weren't sourcing enough new business? Or what was the crux of the problem?
Yeah. So, and that's really what it was, is that I didn't have a strategy where I would actually get out there and build the pipeline. So when I had a huge client contract that I worked on for 2 years and didn't pay attention to really building up additional clients, when that ended, there wasn't much. And so I had to go back out there and start working for more business. And then that roller coaster starts, right? Where, you kind of go up and you're trying to build business and you get it and you put your head down to do the business and there's no new business coming in. And you can only ride that roller coaster for so long before it's just exhausting if you don't figure out how to fix it. And a couple of years in, I still hadn't figured out how to fix it. I think I was kind of denying the problem on some level. And so at that point, it was like, okay, we got to put this to bed. I got to go get a job. And it was during that time at the job where I really kind of reflected back on what went wrong. I realized I didn't have a business development strategy that I was willing to do on an ongoing basis. And what would that look like if I ever had a second chance to go back out and start a new company? And I knew that for me, it wasn't going to be cold calling. It wasn't going to be networking every night of the week. I've got 3 kids. It wasn't going to be stalking people on LinkedIn. That's just not what's authentic to me. But I liked referrals. So when I had a chance to start my second business, the practice that I have now, I really figured out, I was like, okay, I have to figure out how to make referrals work for me, but I didn't know much about them. So I picked up some books and started reading, paying attention to the experts that were out there, and everyone's advice was the same. It's easy to get referrals. Just go ask. Right. And if you can't ask, it's your problem and you've got the head trash.
Right. And so you
it didn't fit.
And so you have a different solution. You want the referrals to come to you without even asking. And so for somebody that doesn't have an established business, doesn't have an established reputation, then how do they even begin going about getting the referrals coming to them without effort?
So it does take effort, right? It just doesn't take the effort of actually having to ask. Okay. Because to me, asking feels like a cousin or that redheaded stepchild of a cold call. Right? When I'm asking someone, I'm asking them to do something for me that they haven't necessarily agreed to do. And so whether you're starting out or you have an existing, book of clients, right? Referrals actually come from 2 sources. Yes, clients are one of them, but the other ones are centers of influence. So that's how I started. In my first in my first year as a business coach, I generated over 112 referrals.
Wow, incredible. And
I did that because I didn't have a client list, right? I mean, I literally had to go out there and use my network and my centers of influence. And I have a friend who calls this the 7 million cups of coffee strategy. And so that's what I did. I had to help people in my network understand I'm no longer in HR consulting. I'm no longer this generational diversity employee engagement expert. I'm now focusing on a different type of business. And I was doing productivity and business coaching at the time. I was like, so I'm now here, and just telling them what I was doing and telling them what it looked like, that helped a few people in my network come on board early as clients. And then if you put them through an incredible client experience, they will start talking to other people about how you help them. And so it was kind of this compounding effect of building referrals from my centers of influence while my client base built in that first year. And now most of my new clients come through client referrals, but it wasn't like that in the first year. I had to build that up. So I probably started out my first year around 60% of my clients coming through referrals. Mm-hmm. And now, a number of years later, now about 95% coming through referrals.
So your new business that you started then was productivity and consulting, and then you developed a way to source the referrals. And from that, you saw this opportunity to develop a whole program around referrals, growth by referrals. So do you still do your productivity and consulting along with this, or is this morphed into this whole other line of business?
So it's funny, I did the referral strategy out of necessity because I cannot go through another business failure and I don't make a very good employee. So I didn't want to go back to work either. So my strategy came out of necessity. And then my clients, because I coach mostly small business owners, people on commission, solopreneurs, they started asking me, hey, your business is exploding. What the heck are you doing? And so I started teaching them, or I started telling them really about my referral strategy. And then they said, okay, great, teach us that. When they started having success, that's when I realized that I had something here that I could really package up and provide to anybody. They don't need access to me. They need access to the online program. They don't have to have access to me. So yes, I do still coach some clients, but the majority of my focus is on helping people all across the country, all across the world through my online program, which is their ability to understand how do we build a system, because it is a system. How do we build a system, put a system in place that allows us to generate referrals without asking? And there's a lot of pieces to that. It's not rocket science. Most people go through it and say, God, that was really simple, but brilliant. I'm like, yes, I've just devised a different way for you to think about it. And so, as people kind of go through that and have that success, that's when I realized, okay, now I've got something that I can help more people with. And because, if you have to talk to me to get this information, I'm going to be limited by the number of hours in a day.
Right. So you've developed a consulting practice now that helps people get referrals without asking them. So have I got that right?
You got it.
And does it matter what industry that they're in, whether they're a medical doctor or an accountant? Referral is a referral no matter what business you're in. Does your program transcend the different industries?
It does transcend the different industries, but it's not for everybody. And so I always tell folks, when you're thinking about generating referrals without having to ask for them, there's a couple of pieces in place that this works best for. It can work for anyone, to your point, but it works best in certain situations. So B2B, B2C doesn't matter. I happen to be B2B. I have a lot of clients that are B2B that are in the online program. Same thing with folks that are B2C. That doesn't matter. But what this works best for, because we plant seeds versus asking for referrals, who this works best for are those folks that have to build up relationships with their clients before their clients will say yes to working with them. So the people like your CPAs, your attorneys, your financial advisors, the person who's going to build your home, the person who's going to design your home, it could be the photographer, anybody that you're going to build a relationship with before you say, yes, I'll do business with you. That is who this works best for. It can work for anybody, but that's who it works best for, only because the system is built based on the relationships you're building. And at the end of the day, referrals only come from relationships. And that's what this program is specifically built around.
So for somebody who doesn't have a large sphere of influence or a large network of people to begin with, then where would you recommend that they start building these relationships? Should they go to just the typical chamber, networking events, the local business events around their areas? How should they begin building these relationships?
Yeah, so I tell folks, you can build your relationships and the network, so to speak, right? It's being known by a network versus just networking. And so you have to be strategic about where you're going to build up these relationships. So if you're new in the business, right, I tell folks, if you're in your first year in business, my program's not for you. Wait until you have a year or two under your belt and you have a book of clients and centers of influence already. But for those, to your point, that are starting from scratch, yes, you can go and network and meet those folks. You can connect with them on LinkedIn. You can get introduced to them by people that you know. I'd rather you get introduced to them by people you know, because someone's more willing to take a meeting with you and get to know you. If someone says, hey, you should definitely meet Jamie. But it doesn't have to be that way. But it really is developing relationships with folks, which means it's not a sales call. Right. You're going in to have a conversation, to learn about them, to figure out how can I help you. And if you go in with that mentality and it's genuine, 9 times out of 10, the person you're sitting across will ask the same questions of you. So tell me about yourself. How can I help you? And it's not like you're going to get business from that first meeting. right? At that end of the day, you're not going to get business at that very first conversation, but the relationship will grow over time. And if networking is a part of your strategy, that's great too. I do some very strategic networking myself, but the key word there is strategic. I see most people who are building up a network, they do the spray and pray methodology, right? It is just that idea of go to as many events as I can, put my business card in as many hands as I can and see what happens. And you have to be more strategic than that. You have to go where either your ideal client is, or you have to go to those organizations and meetings where the people who know your ideal client actually it is. And it is trial and error in the beginning, but the more you do this, the more you figure out where to spend your time and where not to spend your time.
And for people that do have an established network or do have, established relationships, what does your program entail? Is it a certain 3-month program and you're done? Is it an ongoing program? How does the program work for people that are ready for this?
Yes. So the online program, it's online. So once you get in, you have unlimited lifetime access to this program. And it is 5 modules. It's about to increase to 7. But right now it's 5 modules going to 7 modules. And it walks you through exactly what to do. And the crux of what we're doing is we are building a referral experience for the people who refer to you, which is an ongoing experience where you stay top of mind. But this is all about them. And I can give you some examples of what that looks like. And then weaving in the correct language. So someone can sit down and go through it in a day if they want and have everything built. And, some people may go through it over 30 days or longer. It just kind of depends on your initiative when you think about it.
We'll share some of those examples in the next segment. But before we go to break, you have an offer for our listeners today. Go ahead and extend that for them.
Sure. So you need to know what not to do when it comes to generating referrals. So I have a guide that I put together. It's called the 7 Deadly Sins of Generating Referrals. And that you can find at growthbyreferrals.com/thatbusinessshow. And they'll be able to download that free guide there.
Okay. Again, we're talking to Stacy Brown Randall, creator of the Growth by Referrals program, and an excellent way to generate referrals without having to ask for them. And so a unique program that you can learn more about at that website, growthbyreferrals.com, and then take advantage of that offer for our listeners. Go to growthbyreferrals.com/thatbusinessshow. So we got a lot more with her when we come back from the break on the all-new That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.
Our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Hi, Jackie Skelton from JR World Travel here. If you travel, you need a licensed professional travel consultant, not a computer. Your licensed professional consultant can get you more for your time and your money. Value for your money and experience, not marketing salesmanship. When you're sick, you call the doctor. When you need legal advice, you call an attorney. So the next time you want to go on any type of travel, call your licensed professional travel consultant who actually represents you. We specialise in group travel, family reunions, weddings, to escorting large groups or making special arrangements for the disabled. Please call 844-249-0190. We are a full-service travel consultancy offering worldwide concierge service. Air, land, sea, rivers, resorts, locally, nationally and internationally. Remember that number, 844-249-0190.
And welcome back to That Business Show 2.0. I am your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business. If you've been listening to us for a while or just finding the show on the air on a podcast for the first time, this is a show where we talk to different entrepreneurs, business and community and political leaders about the successes and about the failures they've also had in their business. And so if you have a story to share, we'd like to hear your story as well. Simply go to tbsinterview.com to learn more about the program and how to get onto the program. Again, tbsinterview.com. So today we're talking about referrals, specifically how to get referrals without asking for them with this unique program, Growth by Referrals, with our guest, Stacey Brown Randall. So Stacey, you alluded to some examples in that last segment. Share with us some examples of this program for our listeners now.
Sure. So the program is built on 3 fundamental principles, which I call the platinum principles of referrals. And that is the first one, it's all about them, right? So whatever we're doing to build relationships, build, ongoing touch points with our referral sources, it has to be all about them. The second thing is it has to be authentic to you. You have to be comfortable doing it. For instance, I would never take a referral source out to play golf, because I don't play golf. That would not be good for me or for that person. They'd probably be miserable watching me attempt to play golf. And then the third thing is that it has to keep you top of mind, but not top of mind like an email newsletter or that random email you send every once in a while. Hey, how are things? Not that kind of top of mind. I mean top of mind that's memorable and meaningful. That shows that you care about them because you're always honoring platinum principle number 1, which is it has to be all about them. So an example of that is last year. So I tell folks there's at least 4 to 6, sometimes 8 touch points in a year that you want to do that the program kind of walks you through. And there's not like you have to do this and this and this. It's just some ideas. And so one of them for me is what I call off-guard holidays. So yes, people are going to recognize Thanksgiving and the first of the year, and they're going to recognize Christmas or Hanukkah. And those are great. And I do some of those as well. But I like to recognize ones where you don't see it coming. So I recognize Mother's Day and Father's Day. The reason for that is because I know that about 80% of my referral sources are working parents, whether they own a business or they work for a company, they are working parents. And so I recognize Mother's Day and Father's Day. Last year for Mother's Day, I sent all of my female, obviously just my females, the fathers got something different, but on Mother's Day, I sent all of my female top referral sources a Wonder Woman water bottle. And when you remove the card from me on that water bottle, which said, never forget you are a hero, happy Mother's Day, Stacey, when you remove the card, my logo was nowhere, or my name was nowhere on that water bottle. It was the Wonder Woman water bottle because the gift was all about them, not about me. But they don't forget a gift that's memorable and meaningful. And not everything you do are gifts. Like you can do this on a shoestring budget. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of gifts. It just so happens on Mother's Day and Father's Day, I do that from a gifts perspective. And so every year I look for something unique to send to my referral sources around that time. And now my referral sources have kind of come to expect it. We've been doing this for a couple of years now. So, but I tell people it's all about being memorable and meaningful. And when you take time to connect with somebody that's really relevant for them, that shows, wow, they know me and they took time to do something nice. The time you take that shows you thought about this and then executed on it, that is more valuable than any dollar you happen to spend. And so that's why it's built around a lot of all about them.
And it's predicated upon the the human trait that if you receive something, you want to give something back. And if you feel like you're being sold to, well, we all kind of turn a blind eye to that. But you said you didn't even include your logo or card, or there was no call to action. It was just, here's a gift, thank you, and that's it, right?
Yeah, and not all touch points. Like platinum principle number 3, it's got to keep you top of mind. So we build the system around experience touch points. Not all touch points is like that. Some touch points, there is a language. And I always tell folks, what I teach, the secret sauce is in the types of experiences you build, like my ability to give you ideas to be memorable and meaningful, and in the language I provide to you. And so sometimes it's just don't say anything about business, just make it about them. Sometimes when you're thanking them for sending you a referral, right, we thank by name. That's one of the important scripts I teach people is never send a thank you for a referral without including the name of the person they referred to you. We want to plant that seed. And then there's other language we weave throughout the touch points as well. But some are truly, hey, this is about you, period. They don't need you to tell them about your business to remember your business. They just got a really cool thing from you, whatever that thing was. They're going to remember you anyway.
And how often do you send out the gifts? You said Mother's Days and Father's Days. Do you do that annually? Is there a second point during the year that you also send out gifts, or just once a year?
Yeah, so, my process is a little bit different than even some of my clients, but I tell folks on average it's between 4 and 6 touch points. But some of those touch points may just be a thank you card, but it's a specific thank you card that we write. Some of those touch points could be a Christmas or a Hanukkah gift or an end of year gift. I have one client who recognizes National Pickle Day every October because she does something funny with it. I have another client who's a home builder that recognizes in June National Juggler's Day because he can juggle and he can create a really cool juggling video of himself juggling hammers. He's a home builder, so hammers kind of work. So these touch points don't have to cost a lot of money. They just need to be unique and memorable and meaningful for you. But on average, it's between 4 and 6 a year.
And I guess touch points such as emails and phone calls, those are treated differently, or do those even come into play in your program? How do those work?
They do. It kind of depends on what kind of budget you're working from. So the ability to send an email that says, hey, I found this article and I thought of you, as long as it's a true article that matters to that person, that can count as a touch point. But it falls down lower on what I call the memory runway. So when I do something for you, like I take you to lunch, or I take you to play golf, or I take you to the spa, or I invite you to an event where you get to meet other people and grow your network and hang out, with people, or I send you a gift, those are higher on the memory runway. The emails that I may send you, that's just the lowest of the totem pole because it's just more noise in my inbox. And to be honest, I may not see it, but I'm going to definitely recognize an invitation to go somewhere with you or hang out with you or get a gift in the mail, or even delivered to your office. So that's the point that matters is what you do. The higher you are on the memory runway, the less you have to do. The more you hang out with just things you mail or things that you email, the more you have to do. And I would say that kind of defeats the purpose of the whole program.
When people use your program, how soon before they start seeing results? And can you share an example of or two of some success stories of people that you worked with?
Absolutely. So I've got 2 I can tell you about. There's lots, but these are 2 that are probably the most recent. So, everybody will see results in a different time period. There's a few touch points that I tell folks that you should do early on. There's a jump start to your referrals. It's kind of like the first touch points I tell people to do. And I teach that in a free 5-day challenge. And so when people go to growthbyreferrals.com/that business show, there'll be a link there to join the 5-day challenge waitlist. But because I don't do it every time. So they have to just get on the list for the next 5-day challenge over email. But the idea there is that there are a number of things that you can do to jumpstart your referrals, but everybody sees results differently. I had a CPA, first 2 months on the program generated 20 referrals. That was 57% of the new clients he actually even wanted to bring in that year. He has a growing practice to begin with. And he was like, this stuff's really easy, Stacey. I'm like, I know, don't you wish you would have known it 20 years ago? Sorry, I didn't think of it 20 years ago. Right. But I was just a baby back then anyways, right? So I can say that. That's a lie, but I can say that. So, when you think about it in that way, it's kind of that idea that those experiences happen over time, but some people do have an initial hit to their referrals. I had a property and casualty insurance agent that is in the program, and she went through it and she did a couple of touch points that I talk about early on. And then she did the Jumpstart touch point as well, all through first quarter of this year, 2017. So in 2017, first quarter, she did that. She had 77% more referrals in first quarter of 17 than when she looked back and compared it to first quarter of 2016. Wow. It was a 115% increase in new clients. It was huge for her. And we're only talking about the first quarter. And she did 4 simple touch points that really, because she was really smart about hers, she did 4 simple touch points like November through March. And they generated that type of results for her. And these were things she mailed out. So she just had to spend some time writing some stuff down. And there was a little small gift in one of them that was unique and memorable, meaningful for her, but didn't cost her a lot of money. And that's the key is like, you're building a relationship with someone, not buying anything from them like a referral.
Right. Well, incredible opportunity to grow your business base. We talk about the powers of referral all the time on the program. The number one source of getting new business is always referral from somebody who has used your services. But we always talk about you got to go out there and ask for them. So a unique spin on getting referrals for your business. So again, Stacy, one more time, you have an offer for our listeners. Please extend that again.
Sure. It is the 7 deadly sins of generating referrals. It's the things not to do, the big no-nos. And they can get that at growthbyreferrals.com/that business show. They'll also have a link to join my Facebook group, which is Referrals Without Asking. So great community. And then also to sign up for the wait list for the next challenge. But by the time this show, I think, is live, the challenge will be happening a week later. So they could definitely get in by just clicking on that link.
All right. And of course, it runs available on demand, all the time on iTunes and on YouTube, so people will probably be reaching out to you, from here on out, as they find the show on a podcast or on YouTube. But the show does air each weekday morning at 7 a.m. live. So Stacy Brown Randall, creator of the Growth by Referrals program, a great discussion. Got a lot of good ideas for myself. I have a local business network here myself that I run. Always looking for ways to generate new business and new referrals, and touch points is something I lack. I mean, I consider like an email a touch point, but I understand that, that's the easiest and probably one of the weakest ways to utilize touch points. So Stacy, thank you so much for your input today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And Jamie, with those emails, you can do better.
I'm sure I can. So again, growthbyreferrals.com, and take advantage of the offer for our listeners at growthbyreferrals.com/that the business show. And again, all shows available here on demand on iTunes and as well on YouTube. Simply go to thatyoutubechannel.com, and we'd love to hear your story as well. So go to tbsinterview.com. You can find out how to come on the program. New episodes air each weekday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on thatbusinessnetwork.com, and we hope to see you there each and every morning. Again, thatbusinessnetwork.com. You've been listening to That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeagers. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeagers, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring type products, hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Hi, Jackie Skelton from JR World Travel here. If you travel, you need a licensed professional travel consultant, not a computer. Your licensed professional consultant can get you more for your time and your money. Value for your money and experience, not marketing salesmanship. When you're sick, you call the doctor. When you need legal advice, you call an attorney. So the next time you want to go on any type of travel, call your licensed professional travel consultant who actually represents you. We specialise in group travel, family reunions, weddings, to escorting large groups or making special arrangements for the disabled. Please call 844-249-0190. We are a full-service travel consultancy offering worldwide concierge service. Air, land, sea, rivers, resorts, locally, nationally and internationally. Remember that number, 844-249-0190.
everyone. Jamie Maloney here, host of That Business Show 2.0, where business becomes show business. I want to thank all the listeners and viewers out there, wherever that is that you are, whether you listen and watch live each weekday morning to the new episodes at thatbusinessnetwork.com, or made available all across the web on multiple podcasting platforms in iTunes and YouTube, as well as Spreaker, Google Play, and a lot of other sites as well. So this past couple of weeks ago, actually I just noticed it this past week, I was watching the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony for 2017. I'm a huge lover of music. Many great acts were inducted this year, from Tupac Shakur, Yes, Joan Baez, and Journey finally made it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. And I wanted to talk about Journey specifically because they are a brand that has transcended generations. And I say they're a brand before a band because there is only one original member in that group that has been there since the beginning and has contributed to all the albums, and that is guitarist Neal Schon. Journey formed in 1973. Neal Schon and I think Herbie Herbert was the band's manager at the time. You know, put together the original cast of the band, and I don't even recall the original lineup of the band. Steve Perry, who would become the face of the band, didn't even come into the band until 4 or 5 years into it. But Neal Schon, being a guitarist, a young guy playing with Santana at the time, saw the opportunity along with Herbie to put together this band, which was revolutionary at the time. They had a sound that was unique, inspirational. As they described it in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it was sort of like the Grateful Dead on steroids, and they began to develop, a following. But it really wasn't until their 1981 hits, "Don't Stop Believin'" and "Open Arms" came to the radio, that they really began to make their way in the music business. And over the coming decade in the 1980s, they really became a staple of the music industry, with Steve Perry at the head of the band, and until about, I think he left in the early 90s approximately, took a hiatus, came back in the late 90s, had an accident, couldn't come on stage, and then they separated again, and then they would go on to hire a couple other people in the interim, to their current lead singer, Arnel Pineda, who was found on YouTube, ironically. A lot of singers these days are found on YouTube, but nonetheless, a band or a brand that has transcended generations. And I wrote a blog this past week about it, and it's entitled "A Brand Bigger Than You." And so what Journey represents is they represent the ability to sustain as a brand in the absence of any of the members. If Guns N' Roses had lost Axl Rose in the early 90s, they wouldn't have been Guns N' Roses anymore. If Metallica loses James Hetfield and Lars Ulrich, they're no longer Metallica. You can't just bring in people to certain bands and have the fans still receive them the same way. But Journey has been able to survive that, and it goes along to the importance of building a brand that is sustainable across industries, across generations. And Journey is truly a band that has transcended these generations. Steve Perry, being the recognized face of the band, hasn't even been with the band originally in 30 years. He played with them in the 90s for a short time, but he really left the band in the either late 80s or early 90s. But you would think that he was such a recognized face of that band that the listeners and the fans would have punished Journey, but they really haven't. So Herbie Herbert has built this band that is centered around a brand, and they've had 9 other members in the band that were not recognized at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The core members of the group were inducted at the Hall of Fame this past, well, I saw a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure when the actual live event was, but it was sometime here in the last month or so. But Steve Perry was inducted along with Neal Schon and about 4 other of the members. And honestly, I don't even know the names of the other members. I just know Neal Schon, legendary guitarist and original founder of the group, and of course Steve Perry, who everybody recognizes. But today, Journey looks nothing like the original cast. Only Neal Schon is there, and Arnel Pineda now heads the group. I even felt bad for Arnel at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony, because he didn't get to come up on stage with the band to be inducted. He was not inducted as part of the ceremony, but after the speeches were given by each of the bandmates, including Steve Perry, who was there and who was cordial, performed, Arnel then came up on stage and performed with the band. But it's ironic too that Journey, it represents, you know, the musical entrepreneurial journey, and they have the name Journey because we use the term entrepreneurial journey so many times. And you know, they've really developed a brand that is unbreakable, and it's something as a business owner that you want to think about yourself. Could you step outside of your own brand, and could the business sustain itself? A lot of times, no. I mean, for the small business owner, they are the brand. But you always want to be thinking about ways to get to the point to where you can step outside of the brand and have it last without, you know, fear of losing your customers, losing your clients. And Journey, it's just an incredible story, and the blog I wrote this past week will be made available up on TampaBayRadioblog.com for reading. But I also find it ironic too that they're probably their #1 best-selling song is probably Open Arms, but right there and behind it, and arguably so, Don't Stop Believin' is probably their most recognized song. I think Open Arms sold more individual singles and got a higher chart topping play than Don't Stop Believin'. But that song is an inspiration to us all, no matter in life or in business. Nobody says a bad word about Don't Stop Believing. It's truly one of the great American songs from one of the truly great American bands, Journey. And to see them finally get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this past year was it was something that was, you know, welcome to see. They'd been looked over for many years, and now they are inductees into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Only time will tell if Arnel Pineda will get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I felt bad for him because he's also been the longest head man of the band that they've ever had. He's been with them longer continually than Steve Perry was with the band, and Arnel Pineda coming into the group around 2007, and I had the privilege of seeing them in concert in Tampa at the local amphitheater. And the singer Arnel Pineda is a spot-on match for Steve Perry. If I close my eyes and I hear each of them sing a song, I can't tell the difference between the two. That's how good Arnel Pineda is, a guy coming out of the Philippines, singing for a band called Zoo and being discovered on YouTube, which opens up another talking point is, you know, this age of you know, technology that we're in and how talent is discovered these days. In the past, bands were discovered by producers and promoters going to bands and listening to them on stage in different clubs. Not now. People go onto YouTube and they find tribute bands and cover bands, and that's how they found the replacement singer for the for Journey, and Arnel Pineda getting the job as a result of that. Sort of reminds me of the movie Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg, when the band, forget the name of the band right now, but went out there and discovered him. But they discovered him through traditional methods. But today you're found on YouTube. So it's important to have a presence on the web in your business, because you don't know where opportunity is going to lie. And it brings me back to another blog that I wrote called Opportunity is the Dark Matter of the Professional World. And I say that because opportunity is all around us, but yet we can't see it, we can't recognize it, but we only know that it's there because we see the effect that it has on others, or we see it actually happen to other people in the community. And you're probably like, well, dark matter, what are you talking about? The analogy comes from the world of physics and our vast universe, which is made up of only 5 to 10% of actual recognizable matter that we can see, touch, and feel. Other 80% of it is dark matter, and then another 10, 20% of it, I don't have my numbers perfectly lined up, I know that, but then there's dark matter. So you got dark energy and dark matter, and what is that? It's material that cannot be seen, touched, or determined, but the only reason that physicists know that it's there because they can see its influence on the surroundings. And the universe right now is in a point that has always been expanding, and it's expanding at an accelerating rate. which doesn't make sense to physicists. I mean, for something to expand and expand at an accelerating rate, you have to have energy being put into the system to keep it pushing out. Otherwise, what happens with a typical explosion, the Big Bang, things explode, gravity should eventually slow it down and pull it all back in. But dark energy is not allowing that to happen, so dark energy is pushing the universe further apart. So that brings me back again to the original analogy that opportunity is the dark matter of the business world. It's out there. You can see it because people have achieved and will continue to achieve success, but you don't know where it's going to come from. So it's important to have a presence all across the internet, all across the community. Get involved with your local chambers, get involved with local nonprofits, become an influencer. And very important because you don't know where that next opportunity is going to come from. So again, originally talking about Journey and them getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year, a brand that has transcended generations, a brand/band that is able to take members out, put other members in, and still continue on with becoming a legendary band that has now been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So again, just wanted to share that moment with the audience. I'm a true lover of music and also a true lover of Journey, who leaves us with some great tips for how to succeed in business with the name of their song, Don't Stop Believing, which is true to business. Don't stop believing. So again, you've been listening to That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.
Hi, welcome to Yeager's. We just want to take a minute and show you what we're all about. At Yeager's, our primary business is hardwood flooring, although we are remodelers for kitchen, bath, and general construction. We operate a fleet of shop-at-home vans that have all the flooring type products: hardwood flooring, laminate flooring, tiles, stone, what have you. So we're able to come out first with products in our vehicles and take a look at the setting, how the colors will work, and then to be able to come up with some options and ideas for you. If that's not good enough, we have a large distribution center that we inventory product and have a nice display area.
Hi, Jackie Skelton from JR World Travel here. If you travel, you need a licensed professional travel consultant, not a computer. Your licensed professional consultant can get you more for your time and your money. Value for your money and experience, not marketing salesmanship. When you're sick, you call the doctor. When you need legal advice, you call an attorney. So the next time you want to go on any type of travel, call your licensed professional travel consultant who actually represents you. We specialise in group travel, family reunions, weddings, to escorting large groups or making special arrangements for the disabled. Please call 844-249-0190. We are a full-service travel consultancy offering worldwide concierge service. Air, land, sea, rivers, resorts, locally, nationally and internationally. Remember that number, 844-249-0190.
And welcome back to That Business Show 2.0, where business becomes show business. I'm your host, Jamie Maloney. New shows air each weekday morning at 7 a.m. and we'd love to get you on the program too. Simply visit tbsinterview.com. Every time I do a show by myself like today, it means we didn't have a guest to fill the spot. So take advantage. We got room. We're doing this 5 days a week. 2 different guests each and every weekday morning, with the exception of Thursdays when we air the real estate edition of the program, which is real estate talk catered towards anybody in real estate, from real estate professionals to buyers and sellers. And those episodes air each Thursday morning at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time inside That Business Network. So we're talking about in the segment, you know, Journey making the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and how they are a brand bigger than the band itself, how people have come in and out of the band, including the face of the band, Steve Perry, in the 80s, who has been away from the band for 20 plus years, actually 30 when he really left. He came back in the 90s for a duration, but the brand withstood the test of time. The fans love the brand more than the individual band members themselves, and that's what you got to think about in business. You got to think of building a brand that you can step outside of, that your salespeople can step outside of, and other people can come in, and that you have the systems, processes, and procedures put in place to mirror, you know, what your clients and that your customers want, because ultimately that's what they're attracted to. Yes, I mean, the people make up the business. People do business with people they like, and there is a component of that. But if you're able to offer that same level of excellence, that same level of service, then through your systems, processes, and procedures, you're going to get repeat clients. You're going to get repeat business, and you're not going to be punished when you step outside of the business, or your best salespeople step outside of the business. So again, Journey, an excellent representation of a brand bigger than themselves, and a blog that I wrote this past week, made available over on TampaBayRadioBlog.com. A lot of different blogs on that site, a lot of different show recaps, a lot of good information. Just one of the many resources that I provide to my listeners and my viewers as I begin to build, or continue to build up, this business network that grew out of the first real estate show that I did back in September 2013. And again, thatbusinessnetwork.com, where you can get more information. Come on board and join the network. It's in its infancy right now as I begin to develop that site, but it will become a site with a lot of products for business owners, resources, blogs, and I will be reaching out to the different guests that have been on the program to be contributors to the site. So I want it to be a site where business owners can get different resources, different products, different coaching, see different blogs, sort of a site for business professionals, for helping them grow, start, and develop their businesses. And that's what thatbusinessnetwork.com is going to be all about. So I was talking about Journey and them becoming a brand that sustained the test of time. And I'm a big lover of music. We're talking about how Arnel Pineda got on to YouTube, or got found on YouTube, and how you as a business owner need to be available on all across the internet. But it's hard to develop LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and Pinterest and all these different channels. And so where do you want to be? Where should you be? And so while you should have a presence on each of the different channels, you want to know where your audience is primarily. And if you're a performer, YouTube is definitely a place where you want to be. I'm on YouTube with the YouTube channel, thatyoutubechannel.com, where all these shows are put into play. Who knows, maybe someday I'll be discovered by a news network who likes my interviewing style, or a newspaper who wants to develop a video show in conjunction with their paper to interview different professionals. I don't know, but nonetheless, I put it out there. It's up on YouTube, and just a great place to get your message out to your community. But ultimately, knowing where your fans are, or where your clients are, or where your customers are, that's where you want to be. So we got several minutes here left in the program, and I talk about music at times on the program, and Journey inspired me this past week in seeing the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony. And I'm a child of the 80s. I grew up in the 80s as a great lover of the hard rock scene. My three favorite bands: Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue, and no bands were better than them in the 80s, in my opinion. Now, there are many great bands. I'm a huge lover of Pink Floyd, huge lover of the Beatles, in different genres of music. But the 80s rock scene, the 90s alternative scene, which upset the flow of hard rock / heavy metal, although I kind of put heavy metal in a category all by itself. I don't like to refer to the 80s hair bands as heavy metal, because if you know what true heavy metal is, it's nothing like what the hard rock scene of the 80s that grew out of LA primarily, and then turned all the males into females on the rock stages, and that's what I was first exposed to, and led to the grungy scene in the 90s, developed out of Seattle. And I can remember watching Kurt Cobain and Nirvana on MTV for the first time, and how the song Smells Like Teen Spirit changed the landscape of music forever. And it inspired me. I knew I was listening to a unique song the moment that song came on the air, that I picked up the phone, called my best friend and said, turn on the MTV right now, you got to hear this song. I never heard any song like it. And the 90s were rich with great alternative style music, with bands such as Stone Temple Pilots and Pearl Jam, and we saw a lot of the heavy metal bands disappear, but the ones that were powerful sustained themselves and were able to transcend generations, such as Journey, such as Metallica. They were able to innovate and develop and change their sound, which segregated off a large portion of their base, but they understood that to survive in the music business, that they were going to have to change. They were going to have to develop a unique sound, a different sound. And so when the Black Album came out in 1990 or 1991, it had a sound unlike Kill 'Em All, unlike Ride the Lightning, and Justice for All. They're 80s albums, and to this date, they are still innovated. There's a lot of bands that are out there still playing shows, but they play their old music. Metallica is still writing music, still putting out new albums, and still a major player in the music scene. Metallica being my favorite band, James Hetfield, Lars Ulrich, the core of that band. Love those guys. Love those guys very much, and so just one of my favorite bands to listen to, and how they innovate and how they have changed with the times. But it's sad to see, though, in my opinion, the decline in traditional pop rock music. And so much is made today about short songs, catchy songs, boy bands, girl bands that have the quick 3 minutes and out. You don't get to hear songs on the radio or on really. There is no standard of listening anymore. Podcasts are starting to take over radio. People are listening to on-demand content available, on YouTube. And so it's becoming more and more difficult to find, these bands that are out there. The music is still out there. The sounds haven't gone away. It's just that discoverability feature that has changed. And if you've listened to the show before, you've heard me talk about the theory that, when the illegal downloading mess, started to develop in the late 90s, early 2000s, when Napster and LimeWire and all those different sites came onto the scene, these record companies dumped tons and tons and tons of resources into fighting the illegal downloading that was taken away from talent development and talent acquisition, and gone were the days of going out and finding these bands. And so talent really, or I should say the music scene really suffered in the years 2000. There's no bands that are in the rock business that originated in 2000 and the past that really motivate and inspire me. There's been a few in the last couple of years that are decent. Hailstorm comes to mind. Disturbed, which came about in the early 2000s. Linkin Park, which may have originated, they're probably more towards the later 90s. Those are the bands that still have a unique sound, but it's so difficult to to find talent these days because of the muddied waters of the music scene. You got to get discovered today on YouTube. Record companies not finding traditional talent the way that they used to. And it's sad because there's so much great music that came from the 50s, with the British invasion, and the 60s, and the hippie scene, and the 70s, and the Southern rock bands out of the 70s, and the 80s rock legends, and the 90s alternative musicians. 2000 doesn't have a definition to it. It has nothing to define itself. It has nothing that I can see my grandchildren in multiple generations listening to, at least not in the rock space. Country music may have a heyday right now. I don't know. I don't listen to any country music, but there's just not music that is of quality, that is going to transcend generations the way music did. So if you're a millennial, I feel bad for you, because the music that you're listening to today, the more technotronic sound, the dance music, the EDM stuff, it's catchy. I listen to it too, but it's not gone are the days of the Beatles and Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and Leonard Skinner and GNR and Motley Crue, Metallica, all of the great bands that had a unique sound and influenced so many and sold out stadiums when they would play. But gone are those days, in replacement for boy bands, for music that is produced. You have a singer, you have a songwriter, and you have musicians, all with their separate roles, and then they put it together. That's great, but it loses its connectivity with the audience when you have bands that you write the music together, that sing the music together, that play the instruments together. But the boy band scenes, you definitely ruined that. And the last 10 to 15 years has given me nothing to make me think that music is going to improve in the coming years. But who knows? Maybe it will. Hopefully it does. A great movie that you should see, though, if you're a lover of music. Definitely check out Rock of Ages. It really tells the story of the 80s, 90s, and boy band transition in a humorous, comical way. So check out Rock of Ages, the movie. It's also a play out there in Las Vegas, and probably travels around the country too. So check out that too, a great movie as well. So again, this show airs each weekday morning, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to come on the program and share a story with us, visit tbsinterview.com. You've been listening to the all-new That Business Show 2.0 with your host, Jamie Maloney, where business becomes show business.